Friends, in this video, we will learn about Kuznets curve, which is an important curve in economics. So let's get the basics of Kuznets curve first, and then we will learn about it in detail. So Kuznets curve is basically, it shows a relationship between growth and income inequality. And if you see, a typical Kuznets curve looks like this. This is the Kuznets curve, right? So as you can see, it is basically inverted U-shaped, and in this graph you can see that on x-axis income per capita is written, which is basically an indicator of growth, and on y-axis income inequality is represented, right? So what is the hypothesis of Kuznets curve? It says that initially economic growth leads to greater income inequality, but later income inequality reduces. So if I put it in simple terms, it says that initial economic growth will lead to higher income inequality, right? But later economic growth will lead to lower income inequality. So this is what this statement is saying, right? Now let's understand this in a bit detail. So this is a typical Kuznets curve. In order to understand what is exactly the hypothesis of Kuznets curve, what we will do, we will divide this whole graph into two halves. Okay, so this is our first half and this is our second half. Now we will pick 2 points in this first half. Let's say we pick these 2 points, right? And corresponding to each point, we will try to find out the income per capita level as well as inequality level, right? So for this point, if I join it to y-axis through a horizontal line and to x-axis through a vertical line, so it means that corresponding to this point, this is the income per capita level and this is income inequality level, right? Similarly, for this point, if I join it by similar horizontal and vertical lines, it means that for this point on the graph, this is the income per capita level and this is the income inequality level, right? So you can see here that as we move from this point to this point on the graph, we see that income per capita is increasing from here to here, right? And at the same time, income inequality is also increasing from here to here, right? So it means that in this part of graph, as income per capita, that means growth increases. So we can write the finding here. It means that growth is increasing and inequality is also increasing, right? This is the finding in this part of graph. Now let's see what is the position in the second half of the graph. So for that, we will again choose 2 points on the graph. Let's say we choose this point and this point, right? So we will try to find out income per capita as well as inequality for each of these points, right? So again, if I join this point by a horizontal and vertical line, it means that for this point, income per capita level is this much and inequality level is this much, right? And for this point, again, if we join it by horizontal and vertical lines, for this point, income per capita level is this much and inequality level is this much, right? So that means if we move from this point to this point on the graph, what is happening that income per capita is increasing, but here if you see, for this point, inequality level was this much, and for this point, inequality is this much. So that means if we move from here to here, inequality is actually decreasing, right? So what is the finding in this part of graph? Here, when growth increases, inequality is actually decreasing, right? So the overall finding of this Kuznets curve is that in this part of graph, what is happening that with the growth, inequality is increasing, right? And there is a point here, this is the peak point up to which income inequality will increase with the growth, right? And then in the second half of the growth, that is in this part, what will happen? With growth increasing, income inequality will reduce actually. So this peak point is actually middle income growth level, right? So this is what exactly Kuznets curve says. It says that when an economy is starting its growth path, so you can actually divide it in 3 parts to understand it better. So initial growth, in the growth path, so basically initial growth, what will happen? With growth increasing, inequality will also increase. Then the economy will attain middle income level where inequality will be maximum, and then in the later growth what will happen that with increasing growth inequality will come down, right? So this is exactly what Kuznets curve says, right? Now let's understand the rationale behind this, why this is the behavior of income inequality with growth, right? So what happens that in the early stage, or you can say initial growth, when the economy is under the phase of initial growth, what happens that only a small number of individuals basically reap the maximum benefits of growth. And who are these small number of individuals? They are basically capitalist class, right? So they are basically the owner of factories and industries, so they get the maximum benefit of the growth, and the remaining population they get very less percentage of benefits, right? So the result in this part is basically that inequality increases, right? But what happens in later growth? What happens that as economy has already crossed this middle income level, right, and economy has already matured by now, what happens that this remaining population, which was getting very less percentage of benefit in the initial growth, they actually start getting more opportunities of jobs and other economic activities, right? So for them, opportunities of jobs and other economic activities actually start increasing. That means this remaining population, they start getting higher benefits of growth, right? So that's how basically the income inequality starts decreasing, right? So this is the rationale behind Kuznets curve, right? Now let's understand it in a more detailed manner through an analogy, right? So what we will do, imagine a party being organized, right, where 100 people are present, and 1 kg cake is cut and served among the people, right? But what happens that top 10 influential people, let's say there are top 10 influential people in the party, they manage to grab 800 gram of cake, right? And so rest 90 people, they will be able to get only 200 gram of cake, right? So this is one case, right? Now let's imagine another party, similar party, let's call it party 2, this is party 1, right? Here again 100 people are present, and here instead of 1 kg cake, let's say 10 kg cake is cut and distributed among these people. And here again, let's say there are top 10 influential people, right? Top 10 people, they are able to grab 2 kg of cake. So rest 90 people will get only 8 kg of cake, right? Now imagine another party of similar kind. Let's say this is party 3, right? Here again 100 people are present, and instead of 10 kg cake, let's say here 100 kg cake is cut and distributed among these people. And here these top 10 influential people, they are able to get, let's say, 10 kg of cake, and the rest 90 people are getting 90 kg of cake, right? So if I write this whole thing in a tabular form, so let me write it here, right? So let's say here we write the share of 10 people, and here we write the share of rest 90 people, right? So what is happening in case of party 1, that these 10 people are getting 800 gram of cake. That means per person they will get 80 gram of cake, right? And these 90 people are getting total 200 gram of cake. That means per person around 2 gram of cake, right? What is happening in case of party 2, that these top 10 people are able to get 2 kg of cake, that means 2000 gram of cake. So if you divide it by 10, that will be 200 gram per person, right? and these rest 90 people are getting 8 kg of cake, that means 8000 gram. So if you divide it by 90, it will be something around 88 gram per person, right? And in case of party 3, these top 10 people are getting 10 kg of cake, so that means 1000 gram, 10,000 gram, right? So if you divide it by 10, it will be around 1000 gram per person, right? And the remaining 90 people are getting 90 kg of cake, that means 90,000 gram, and if you divide it by 90, that will be around 1000 gram per person, right? So if you compare between party 1 and party 2, so if you see here, in party 1, the difference between these 10 people and these 90 people per person is around 78 gram, right? In party 2, the difference between these 10 people and these 90 people per person will be around 112 gram, right? And in party 3, the difference between these 10 people and these 90 people will be 0 gram, right? So what is happening that as the cake size is increasing, what we are doing in all the parties, the number of people and influential people, the number of total people as well as influential people are same in all the parties, right? Party 1, party 2, party 3, right? Only the cake size is increasing. Here it was 1 kg, here 10 kg, here 100 kg, right? So if you see, in case of party 1, the difference was 78 gram, then in party 2 it became 112 gram, and in party 3 it became 0 gram, right? So we can say that as the size of cake increases, difference decreases, right? And this is what exactly is Kuznets curve analogy. So here size of cake is basically growth, and this difference is basically income inequality, right? So initially what is happening that if you compare party 1 and party 2, the difference was 78 gram, it increased to 112 gram from party 1 to party 2, but from party 2 to party 3, the difference actually came down from 112 gram to just 0 gram, right? So that means initially in the initial growth, right, the difference increases, but in the later growth, this difference is reducing, right? So this is one analogy of Kuznets curve, and this is pretty much it about the Kuznets curve. In the next video, we will take up another important economic curve, right? So stay tuned friends, see you in the next video. Thank you.